Hey guys, welcome to the show. And today what we're going to do is we're going to be making some nice keto peanut butter cups. For this recipe, you're going to need some cocoa powder. You're going to need some vanilla extract. You're going to need peanut butter. Now, what I'm using is no sugar added, only peanuts peanut butter. It's basically just peanuts ground. Now, when you open this up, you're going to have to give it a good stir because the oil will separate. There's actually a fair bit of chemicals added to keep that from happening. I'm using about 30 packets of stevia, a pinch of salt, muffin liners, of course. I'm using the small ones for peanut butter cup bites, a knife, and we're going to chop up our lovely cocoa butter. Now, it's important to use food-grade cocoa butter. Chocolate funnel I'm going to be trying out. We'll see how this experiment goes. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to be taking our dry ingredients and adding them into the blender. We take our stevia first, add that in. What we're going to be doing here is basically just sort of destroying any lumps or large particles and fully integrating all the different dry ingredients into one cohesive mass. There we go with our pinch of salt. And here we go with our cocoa powder. You can see it's got a few lumps, it's got a few bumps, but the a few quick pulses in the blender should smooth those out nicely. Just add it in here. A little bit, there we go. It's kind of messy stuff, and it goes everywhere when you drop it, so you want to be careful not to spill too much of it. Now, you could alternately use a food processor for this, which is just as nice. Okay, so we put the top on, because we don't want cocoa powder everywhere. Even with the top on, it still was quite dramatic. Now, it will sort of bind up a little bit, and we don't want it to get too hot, so we're going to stop, and we're going to shake it every once in a while. This redistributes everything so that the stuff on the top has a chance to get towards the blades at the bottom. If you have a food processor, this shouldn't be as much of a problem. I actually honestly should have used the food processor. And remember always to keep the cover firmly in place when you're tipping it upside down, because you don't want cocoa powder everywhere. A few more quick pulses. Give it a little mix, a little stir. Yep. You can see it breaking up and move there, yeah. Okay, now that should be good. Okay, now through the magic of film, we're going to melt the butter. Okay, now the cocoa butter has been partially melted. You can actually see some pieces that are not melted. That's because we want them to melt as we incorporate the ingredients. This helps with the crystallization of the sugar so that we don't lose temper. Okay, now we're mixing in batches our cocoa powder mixture. And no, I didn't move that fast. I sort of sped things up here a little bit. Okay. Now, you want to make sure everything is nicely incorporated. You don't want any dry bits or dry clumps or anything. Now, I've laid out my muffin liners, and we're going to try the chocolate funnel. Now, a word to the wise, it's actually important when you're using chocolate tools to actually heat the tools beforehand. Now, I failed to do that with my funnel, and as you can see, the chocolate is actually thickening in the funnel itself. Where it's coming in contact with the cold plastic, it's firming up and not properly going through the hole. Now, in retrospect, I should have heated the funnel up, maybe popped it in the microwave for 30 seconds, or popped it somewhere nice and warm. But I am clearly having difficulty getting it out. Now, you're going to want to lay a small disc of chocolate in each muffin liner. There we go. Just give it a little shake there, and there we go. Now you're going to want to let these set, because if we put the peanut butter in while they're still liquid, the peanut butter will just mix. Now, they're all set, of course. These are all nice and hard. And we put our peanut butter in a piping bag, and we add a small dollop. I would say about 3/4 of a teaspoon per each cup. Now this depends on your liking of peanut butter and your liking of chocolate. So you can actually play with the ratios. If you want a lot more chocolate, you can go low on the peanut butter. If you want a lot less chocolate, you know, it just works both ways. But the only thing is, you want to keep enough chocolate to keep a nice firm bite when you pick it up. You don't want to like get a fingerful of peanut butter. We've all been there. Doesn't work out nicely. Well, there we go. I probably should have sped this part up, but hey. Also, always remember to fold over the top of your bag, because as you can see, I failed to do that, and the peanut butter is slopped all over my hand where it came out the top of the bag, which was a little bit messy, but what can you do, right? We're all learning together. Okay, there we go. And all of our cups are filled with peanut butter. So from here, we're going to be getting the warm chocolate again, and we're going to put the covers on these peanut butter cups. Okay. Okay, now this time I'm using a spatula to just spoon the chocolate over the peanut butter. And we don't want too thick a shell, but we want enough to cover and to form a nice seal around the edges. So just spoon it in until everything is nice and covered. Maybe 3 or 4 millimeters thick over the top of the peanut butter. That's all you really need. It will drip along the sides and over the top, and it will connect with the other chocolate and form a little cup, and that will contain the peanut butter, which is just perfect what we need. Now this chocolate is going to be fairly dark. We didn't add any milk product, and we didn't add a lot of sugar. I didn't want it to be sweet. So this is actually going to be a dark chocolate. Now, you know, that's the way I like it, but if you wanted to up the amount of sugar that you use, this is to taste. Oh, it's not actually sugar, stevia, sorry. And, you know, maybe add some milk powder. If you were to add an equal amount of milk powder to cocoa, it's basically, the ratios and measurements are actually amazingly simple. It's all 1 to 1 to 1. Okay, now if you